if 5 to 10% of all cancers have a genetic basis, and 80% of them have a clear environmental cause, there's a mutagen that we know causes it. I asked the question to you, is cancer preventable? Okay? So if we know, like, oh, exposure to certain mutagens, certain things in your environment can lead to cancer, and only 5 to 10% of those have a genetic basis, and even with the genetic basis, it could take two hits. So yes, you inherit it, but the other one has to come from the environment. Can we prevent this? Okay. So let's look at some cancers and see what do they have in common. So skin cancer, lung cancer, liver cancer. All right, think about it. What do they have in common? All right. So your answer should be, hey, these all have environmental factors, right? So we know skin cancer, stay out in the sun, you get those UV rays. They can cause things like thymine dimers and other things that cause your DNA repair mechanisms to kick in. Lung cancer is associated with cigarette smoke, asbestos, and other things in the environment. Liver cancer is associated with alcoholism. All right, so remove those variables. Can you prevent cancer? Breast cancer, colorectal cancer, prostate cancer. What do those things have in common? And no, the answer is not, oh, it's in like reproductive organs and things. But the answer is they have routine testing. Okay? So you can get a mammogram, a colonoscopy, a prostate exam, and these things can be detected and they can even be monitored over time to see if there's any changes that are occurring. Because remember, when we looked at colorectal cancer and we said, oh, you get the polyp, and then it incurs some more genetic changes and then some more before it actually becomes cancerous. So if you identify that polyp, that benign growth, and remove it, can you prevent cancer? Throat, cervical, vulval, vagina, penile, and anal cancer. What do they have in common? All of these can be caused by HPV. So if you get the HPV vaccine, can you prevent these cancers from occurring? Leukemia, bone cancer, brain cancer. Can you prevent those? Okay. So these tend to, we don't know why these cancers arise for some of them. And for some of these, they tend to show up in children more, which makes us think that it probably does have some environmental factor, but they also have been found in high doses of external radiation. So depending on where these kids are born, so it could be like their parents were taking the bulk of those environmental agents and that they were affecting their gametes that went on to become their children. Okay, so these ones might not be so easy to prevent them because we're not sure of how you get them in the first place for some of them. Okay, so we know that BRCA1 and 2 mutations have been linked to breast and ovarian cancer and also increase the development of cancer in pancreas, prostate, peritoneal area, that area in between the two, and fallopian tubes. Okay, so there are tests available. So you can go get genetic sequencing of your BRCA genes to determine if you have a mutation or not. And then you can decide what do you want to do. So it was all over the news a couple years ago when Angelina Jolie found out that the BRCA mutations ran in her family. She got the test, she seen like, oh, I carry this. So rather than waiting to see if cancer would develop, she had a double mastectomy. So she had her breast tissue removed to try to mitigate or offset the chance of her getting cancer. A study back, it's been several years by now, is asking, can cell phones cause cancer? All right, well, we don't know enough to know. So we do know that there's some energy coming from the cell phones. We do know it can be absorbed by our tissue, but is it enough to cause cancer, or how long would it have to be exposed before cancer developed is unknown. Okay, but there was a thing, and I'll post this link if you're interested in looking at it, where Dr. Oz had this woman on the show, and she showed where her mother was convinced that her daughter, so a young girl, remember they have to get multiple mutations, but she's convinced that because her daughter put her cell phone in the same spot, over time it formed a mass there. Can we dispute this? Absolutely not. We don't know what happened. I mean, they looked in the daughter. She had no genetic causes, nothing. We can't say without a doubt, yes, that cell phone caused cancer. We can't say, yes, that cell phone caused her cancer or not. It's very possible. It is very possible. So all that means is, ladies, your bra is it's not a carry-all. Okay, I don't think it's as common as it used to be, where women would just stick things in their bra, but it once was common. I mean, money and things dirty. The breast tissue is thin, so putting things in there is giving it a direct entry into your skin, across the skin, get into the capillaries, and all over your body. So let's not put things in our bra, and let's be mindful of, even when we touch that tissue, if our hands are dirty. Okay, so can we prevent cancer? I don't know, but there are some things that we can do to lower the risk. So we can make lifestyle changes. Okay, we can avoid smoking and drinking, or avoid too much of it. We can limit our exposure to the sun. We can be mindful of where we place our cell phones. If we know that cancer runs in our family, we can have those discussions that people don't tend to talk about, to see, well, what kind of cancer did so and so have? Okay, did so and so's dad or mom have it too? Should we go and get a test? I mean, and nowadays, most of these are covered by insurance. You can go get the BRCA1 and 2. There's the APC gene for some colorectal cancers, and you can go and see. Make sure you do your routine testing. So when it's time for those exams, go get them. Okay? Young men, it's okay to get the digital rectal exam. It can save your life. Prostate cancer, breast cancer, when caught early, these things, depending on the type you have, if it's not an aggressive form, we can remove the tissue, treat, and you're good. Okay? But because we tend to avoid going to the doctors and avoid getting these tests, it's too late when we find out. Okay? So even though these things can be early detected, have a better prognosis, the African American community don't tend to do it. And so now we have a high incidence of cancers that can be avoided. All right? There are some vitamins and supplements that people take. Does it or does it not work? I don't know. But hey, if the placebo effect, or if this gets people at least thinking about it, talking about it, it's not a bad thing. Know your family history. Get those vaccines that are recommended. Trust the science, okay? You don't have to take someone's word. You are all now intelligent beings. You know how to look up articles. You know how to determine its validity. Have at it. You know, they say, hey, take this Gardasil. You're like, well, I want to research it first. Do your research. Find out about it. There's hepatitis vaccines to try to avoid liver cancer and things like that. Read up on it. Make sure it's good. Get it. Be knowledgeable. You don't have to take people's word for it. Okay? So get those routine tests when you are supposed to. Know those dates. Know, oh, at 40 I should be getting this test. And depending on your family history, can say how often you need to get it. Is it every year? Is it every 2 or 3 years? So know what to do. It can save your life. Do be mindful of certain things in your foods. So lunch meats, hot dogs, even some alcoholic beverages like wine coolers and things have nitrites and nitrates in it. Those have been associated with cancer. So think about it before you eat it, or be mindful of how much you're eating. Do try to get your fruits and vegetables because they do have protective mechanisms, okay? There are good things in fruits and vegetables. So do try to eat those. And if you are getting the vitamins and minerals you need from your diet, if you vary your diet, then you don't need to take supplements. All right? So if cancer does occur, we know that cancer has stages. This is determined by the size of that mass of growth, the tissue, and is it invading? So stage 1, in situ cancer. There's a small mass. Stage 0. Stage 1, a larger mass, but it's still in one organ, usually one tissue type. Stage 2, it's larger and now it's spread, okay? So it can invade the tissue nearby it. It might be another tissue type in that same organ, it can start to get into that lymph node. So they usually check to see if your lymph nodes are swollen in that area. Stage 3, not just the lymph node nearby, but other lymph nodes may now be involved. Stage 4, it's in another organ. So it could start as, stage 1 breast cancer. You have a small lump in your breast. Okay? By stage 4, you have a lump in your liver. So now you have breast cancer in your liver. It has metastasized. This has worse prognosis. But if you do those monthly checks, self breast exams, self testicular exams, you can try to see these things before it's too late. So you have a mass. How do we treat it? 1, surgery. Go in, take out all the tissue. 2, hormonal. These are usually in conjunction. They usually want to either shrink it first by giving you chemo or hormonal treatment, or take it out and then treat to make sure none is left behind. So this is going to go in those signaling pathways that the tumor uses and try to stop those. Chemo, you want to go in and kill any rapidly dividing cells. So people on chemo tend to have something happen to their skin, their hair tends to fall out. Those are rapidly dividing cells. Remember, cancer is your own cell gone rogue. So it's hard to target one and not the other. So people are working on it, things like specialized medicine and things to try to, or personalized medicine, to try to target certain cells. But until we get there, we have to do what we can. So with chemo, it's causing other problems, but it's getting the cancer out too. And then there's radiation where, again, this is going to get more than just the cancer cells. So your doctor or the doctor will weigh the risk and the benefits. Okay? Questions, comments, concerns? So this is one of those, hey, what do you think? Can we prevent this?